Welcome to the Warrior Word, the first and final word on Warrenton High School athletics. The Warrior Word is brought to you by Warrenton Kia and heard exclusively on 106.3 The Beach.
Welcome to the Warrior Word on 106.3 The Beach, your new home this season for the Warrior Word. It's a weekly chat show with Robert Hopeful, the Warrenton High School Athletic Director, on all things Warrior sports and talking about the fall sports season right now. So we have the football team to cover and the volleyball and cross-country teams this week. And it's brought to you each week by Warrenton Kia. And thanks again to our participating sponsors, South Jetty Dining Room and Bar in Hammond and Seaside Factory Outlet. But let's start the show talking to Robert here about the football team. Unfortunately, taking another loss on the season, so they're 0-4 so far this year, losing 22-0 this past Friday. So, Robert, let's just get your thoughts on this latest game.
Yeah, it was another tough loss for the Warrior football team out at John Matilla Field. Unfortunately, it's kind of been a repetitive situation where we struggle offensively to score the ball. Outside of week 2 versus Vernonia, we haven't found our way into the end zone. Been shut out 3 times, and that's kind of a pattern that is really not a good pattern to be a part of. And it's not just one problem. It's offensively we're really struggling passing the ball. We're really struggling running the ball. We're struggling to block, It's not a situation where I walk out to practice and they're not working hard. They're not putting the time in. They're not putting the effort into film and stuff like that. They're doing all those things. They're watching film. They're working really hard. They're conditioning. It's just for whatever reason it's not clicking during the game. I'm watching the game Friday night, and we struggle even, it seems like, to get 5 yards. We'll get like a 2 or 3 yard gain, and it feels like that's an accomplishment, and obviously that's not going to get you to where you need to get in 4 downs. And it's an absolute struggle for first downs, and when you're struggling just to get a single first down on a drive because we just don't make big plays. We don't have anybody right now who's making big plays. We don't have somebody who is just going to, get them a touch and let them see if they can work some magic. What so many teams have is that one guy that can, throw them a slant route at 2 yards and they turn it into an 80-yard touchdown. We haven't had any of those kind of plays this year. It doesn't mean we won't, but because of that, it makes offense so difficult because they can really pack the box on us. They can load 8 into the box and really say, you're not going to run the ball. You're not going to hit us with anything that's long because you haven't shown the capability to do that, and until we do, we're going to really struggle. Our defense, on the other hand, has played really well since week 1, and that first half of that week 2 game, we've given up, on average per half, less than 10 points, which should keep you in football games. It should keep you in football games. But just for whatever reason, it offensively hasn't clicked. And it's the same kids playing defense as it is offense. So I don't think it's a physicality thing. I think offensively we don't fire off the ball, particularly on the line, as well as we should have. Or should, I guess is a better way of saying it. We're missing some connections between quarterback and receiver. The holes aren't there for the running backs. But a lot of it, I don't know if it's just a lack of belief or what. But I do think that we have a shot of taking that next step. If we can just really, I think, have one drive in a first half, hopefully this Friday against Corbett, where it just clicks. And I really think it's just almost like you got a faucet that's backed up and blocked, and the water's just building up against the edge. And once it finally breaks, I think you're going to have kind of an explosion of some plays and of some good things happening. But until we can really get that first really successful big play, I think it's going to continue to be a struggle. So somebody's got to find a way to be that guy to break a 60-yard touchdown, or even a pick six, or a fumble recovery for a touchdown, or a punt return for a touchdown. Something that's going to really build some momentum and get us to go it's really not that hard to be in the end zone. It's okay to make that play. It's okay to do it. And that's what it's going to take. That's what's holding us back. We're one big play, I think, away. Somebody's got to be that guy. Hopefully a senior can step up, or a junior, or somebody can really take some ownership and being the guy to kind of want that moment. This Friday we play at Corbett, non-league game. Once again, the best thing about our football schedule, especially a year like this where we're struggling early, is none of these games matter. That's just the facts. None of these games matter. You got to win in league, and we don't play a league game until October 14th. To put that in perspective, volleyball ends its league regular season around October 14th. We don't play a league game until the 14th versus Portland Christian. If we were to win our last 3 league games, we'd win the league championship and get a 1 seed in the state playoffs. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's because of our league and the way it's set up, and we have so many private schools in our league that don't play football at all, that we have a situation where there's only 3 other schools that have football teams. So if we can find a way to click in the next 2 weeks and head into that Portland Christian game on the 14th, which is our homecoming game, or excuse me, no, it's not. It's the homecoming games the week before, which is, really all we have to do. And we got to find a way to win 2 out of 3 versus PC, Clatskanie, and Rainier, and then we can put ourselves in a state playoff situation. Our homecoming is the 7th versus Blanchett Catholic at home. That week, actually, crazy enough, is also senior night for the volleyball team, which we'll talk about a little bit in the next segment. But, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. Football, kind of to wrap up Friday. Obviously offensively not a lot of good things happened. We did have a couple nice connections between Giovanni Martinez and Derek Ham. Some good efforts around the board from a lot of people. Defensively, I thought we flew to the ball pretty well. In the first half, it was a situation where I think it was 8-0 almost the whole half. Really one play away from really, being in the game and possibly having a lead. Made some big defensive plays to keep it close for a very long time, but unfortunately, you got to make the big plays offensively as well. We'll be coming back with more of the Warrior Word this week in the second segment, talking with Claire Bussert, some volleyball, with Krista Morrill, some cross country, also kind of introducing a student-athlete leadership class that these girls have been participating in, as well as 2 captains from each program within the school. Talking a lot of Warrior sports today. Thank you for joining us this week, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Warrior Word on 106.3 The Beach, brought to you each week by Warrenton Kia and our participating sponsors, South Jetty Dining Room and Bar in Hammond and Seaside Factory Outlets. We'll talk more Warrior sports next on the Warrior Word on 106.3 The Beach. And welcome back to the Warrior Word on 106.3 The Beach. And it's a weekly chat show with Robert Hopeful, the Warrenton High School Athletic Director, on all things Warrior sports. And is brought to you each week by Warrenton Kia. And we have Greg from Warrenton Kia here in the studio to tell us a little bit about the 2016 Kia Soul and also give us the latest Student Athlete of the Week.
Hello again from Warrenton Kia. Did you know the 2016 Kia Soul was awarded the J.D. Power Award for the highest-ranked compact multi-purpose vehicle in initial quality for the 2nd year in a row? So head on down to Warrenton Kia. Whether it's a new Kia or a top-quality pre-owned Kia, Kia's Car Corners have you covered. And this week, the Student Athlete of the Week is in the house with Claire Bussert.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Really excited. Really excited. Yeah, let's give her. Yeah, I like the little round of applause in the booth.
Very nice.
Look at all these round of applause. It's impressive.
Celebrity in studio.
Claire's a 3-sport athlete at Warrenton, a girl who started as a freshman in 3 sports last year in basketball, softball, and volleyball. As a setter in volleyball, she's I think grown tremendously from her freshman to sophomore year, and she was good as a freshman. Been getting constant compliments about her from her coaching staff as well as from opposing coaching staffs. I think back to in particular our tournament and Culver's coach who's running one of the better programs in the state. Had so many good things to say about the way she moves her feet and the way she gets around the court. Just doing a lot of really, really good things. And we'll talk a little more about that in a second. But first, Claire, you got anything to say?
Thank you, Warrenton Kia, for my new shoes.
If you don't remember from last week, Warrenton Kia did pledge to give $50 a week to our Prep Athlete of the Week. Sounds like Claire's going to buy some new kicks, which is exciting for her. I'm a little bit jealous, but some really, really cool things that Warrenton Kia is going to be doing for us. Definitely be checking their social media. We're going to be having our kids swing by there to pick those up and kind of doing some PR for them as well, because they do so many good things for us. It's the least we can do is to give a little bit back to companies that definitely do good things for us. Claire, first of all, congratulations, obviously. Talk a little bit about volleyball so far this year, kind of the success you've been able to find, and we'll go from there.
Well, we have a game tonight, which would be yesterday, against PC, which is one of the better teams. And after 2 losses last week, it's going to be hard to come back. But, I mean, we've been kind of up and down, but we need another win to kind of even us out.
Yeah, absolutely. PC is always a tough challenge for us. Right now, athletically, them and PAA are probably the most consistent girls programs. A lot of really, really talented kids, particularly in their senior class, that have kind of had their way with us. We had a fantastic game this past Wednesday that we will talk about with PAA at home, where we took them to 5 sets. and really had a shot to kind of beat them, which would have been a huge win for kind of our, not just our program, but for our school to kind of get over that those couple Portland private schools that have really kind of been our kind of kryptonite. Like I mentioned earlier, and kind of talking about you a bit, I feel like you've taken a huge just step as a setter this year, especially with the movement stuff and getting yourself into position to make plays for your teammates. Is that more of a product of better passing on the initial pass, or is that something that you feel like you've kind of just developed a little better athleticism, or do you think it's a combination of the two?
I definitely think it's a combination of the two because I've gotten a lot just more athletic as I've gotten older, but we've been passing pretty well. So, I mean, when I get a good pass, it's easy to get under it.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't realize the intricacies of being a volleyball player. To I think the average onlooker, the sport seems pretty simple. It gets smashed over at one side, and they do their best to hit it back in the air, and then the one person runs under it, passes it to your smasher, and then you smash it onto the other team. But it's so much more complicated than that. The amount of skill it takes to make that initial pass off of a ball that's getting hit that hard is tremendous, and then the ability to react to your teammate's pass and kind of get under it, which is what Claire does as a setter, and then to set it, to where your person who's going to hit the ball needs it to be above the net in the right spot for their strong arm, is a lot more difficult than it looks, and it's something that I think is extremely skill based, and I really enjoy the sport from that perspective as well, because when I try to play it, it sure doesn't look like that. Definitely some good stuff from Claire there. With that said, obviously last week was I would say a disappointment. We had a situation where we came into the week last week at 2-1. Right at the top of the standings in league. Had only lost to Rainier, who's definitely the best team in our league. And we had just come off a 2-0 victory over Catlin Gable at the Vernonia tournament. Where from my understanding, I was not at that tournament, but we really just outplayed them and outshined them. And then we traveled to Catlin Tuesday night, which was the day we aired, or the day we recorded last week, and we went down there and we just really underperformed and lost 1-3. Kind of talk a little bit about that game. What went kind of wrong? Was it a situation where the home court advantage was too much for us, that maybe they were better on Tuesday than they were Saturday, or was it a situation where we really underperformed?
A lot of us just got in our heads during Catlin Gable, and I think we came into it thinking, we beat them at the tournament, we don't have to try, and that really caught up with us because we just played slow and tired, and I don't know if it was because it was away or what, but we just did not perform well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the curse of getting to see a team kind of early on in the year. It happened last year, I'd say, with Riverdale in basketball for us. They smashed us at a tournament, and then we played them later in the year and beat them by almost 25. You have to approach every game like it's the first game. You got to approach every team like if they're the best team in the league. I think that's a mental maturity step that our girls programs are learning right now as they start to get a lot more competitive. And that our boys are going to have to learn as well. It's just, I think we've been in a situation where, really volleyball's been kind of our bright spot the last few years, but as a girls athletic, programs across the board, we've kind of got beat by some of these teams consistently. And now that we're at the level where we can beat these teams and are beating some of these teams, it takes a lot of mental focus to remain on top, to remain focused, to remain plugged in every game, especially when you've done it before and you're like, I don't have to, because those teams are now gunning for us, and it's a little more challenging. Wednesday night, we played very well. As compared to Tuesday, we didn't show up. Wednesday night played extremely well. Played Portland Adventist, who's a very good team. Talent-wise, probably top to bottom as talented as any team in our league. Probably more talented as a team than Rainier. They just don't maybe have the D1 outstanding player that Rainier does. Took them to 5 games. We're in it through 5 games. What worked for us that night that we need to kind of put in a bottle and bring back out this week against PC and De La Salle and OES. I mean, this is a big week for us. What can we take away from that PAA game to help us find some success this week?
I think during the PAA game we were really excited and we were just having fun, but we were playing so intense, we didn't want the ball to hit the floor. We went for everything, and I think we were just so we were playing so intense and that so not like we were at Catlin Gable. And I think if we do that again, we could play with some of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's something we mentioned last week on the show and that we do all the time. That attitude factor, that nastiness factor, that intensity factor is so big. Sports are 90% mental, and you know when you want it badly enough and when you put the energy in, you can really find yourself in some good places. We're going to come back for the final segment of the Warrior Word. We'll be previewing the week ahead, talking some cross country with Krista Morrill as well as with Krista and Claire, both talking a little bit of our student athlete leadership class we've started this year. Some pretty exciting stuff. Thanks again for joining us on the Warrior Word.
One final time out here on the Warrior Word, brought to you each week by Warrenton Kia. And we'll talk more Warriors fall sports next on the Warrior Word on 106.3 The Beach. And welcome back to the Warrior Word on 106.3 The Beach. Talking to Robert Hopeful, the Warrenton High School Athletic Director, on the Warriors fall sports schedule. And we've already gotten into the football and volleyball season so far, but I think we still have the cross-country team to talk about. And, Robert, you have a cross-country member in the studio with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to talk to Chris tomorrow a little cross-country. We've got a meet coming up here in the next couple of days I'd like to discuss. Before we do that, just once again want to thank Warrenton Kia for their support of Warrior Athletics. The Prep Athlete of the Week is awesome. Them pledging that money is awesome. It's a significant thing to do, and definitely something I think our kids are thriving to get. So once again, thank you to them. And, you know, we've been very blessed this year with sponsorships to everybody that supports Warrior Athletics. Thank you so much. We had a Sears night Friday night, where they dedicated $2,000 during the game to our general athletic fund. We had Farmers Insurance do something similar earlier in the year. Just thank you to everybody that supports Warrior Athletics, whether you're a sponsor, whether you're somebody coming out to watch the games, whether you're somebody who has a kid playing for us, whether you're somebody who's played for the Warriors in the past. We appreciate all of you guys, and just thank you for everything you're doing to give our kids opportunities and to make Warrior Athletics what they are. With that said, we do have Krista in the booth. We have a big cross-country meet coming up this week. How's the team feeling heading into that? And then we'll kind of transition, talk a little bit of some student-athlete leadership with you guys.
I think we're doing pretty well. We've been working hard the last week and a half, really trying to get some intense practices in order to strengthen our endurance and just our strength overall with running, and especially finishing races. It'll be a good race to see how we can do, because it's not as long as the others. It's just going to be a 2-mile relay, so about 5 people per team. Each of us runs 2 miles, so it'll be good to see how much time we can get in that short of a race.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that about the race, is that you know it's so often an individual sport in cross country or track. I love the relays because now you get to kind of be a team and really feel like you're accomplishing something together. We'll definitely be coming back next week when we are on the on the air, talking a little bit about how that meet goes, what the results are. But right now we do have a new class we're doing at Warrenton High School, student athlete leadership team. We call it SALT class. These two ladies, as well as 15 other student athletes at the high school, meet Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. To essentially, try to work on the culture of athletics at Warrenton, and try to build some young leaders who can, not only lead on the fields and on the courts, but to give them some of the tools they need to, when they transition into the workforce or the military or whatever they choose to do after high school, to lead and to be solid members of their community. It's a class I think is really, really effective, and it's going to hopefully pay big dividends for us, athletically and performance, but more importantly with making good young people. You guys have, been in that class. I guess we're 3.5 weeks in. We're working through some stuff, talking about some stuff. Just kind of give your impressions of what the purpose of the class is to the community, and how you guys feel about being a part of that, and then we'll wrap up this week's show.
I think this is a really good class for our school because, in the years I've been here, there have not been really any leaders that I've been able to look up to. So having the chance to actually become that person for others would be a really cool experience.
Absolutely. Claire, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I think there's a few sophomores in the class, and having them taking it as sophomores instead of juniors and seniors is really going to help improve our programs for the next few years rather than just this year too.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool thing about it is we do have a good sampling. What I did is at the end of the year last year, I had each of my coaches nominate 2 people from their programs. So I nominated 2 girls from girls basketball. Each of my coaches nominated 2 kids, and I'm teaching the class 2 days a week. And I think we have a pretty cool sampling of kids. We do have some kids that are seniors, but we have some juniors, we have some sophomores. So hopefully it's gonna pay dividends for us down the road. We're thrilled that you joined us this week for the Warrior Word, talking a lot of football, volleyball, and cross country this week. We do have an exciting week ahead. This is Tuesday. We're traveling with our volleyball program down to Portland Christian today for a huge league game. On Thursday, we play at home versus Oregon Episcopal in a massive game at 6 p.m. We also play at Saturday at home versus De La Salle at 2 p.m. Come out and support the Lady Warrior volleyball team. Our football team travels to Corbett this Friday. Cross country does have the Trojan Relay, as we mentioned earlier. Go Warriors. Let's have a big week, and we'll see you next week for the Warrior Word.
Go Warriors.
That's going to do it for the Warrior Word this week, brought to you each week by Warrenton Kia. And also thanks again to our participating sponsors, South Jetty Dining Room and Bar in Hammond and Seaside Factory Outlets. That's going to do it for another week of fall sports here in the Warrior Word. For Greg from Warrenton Kia and Robert Hopeful, the Warrenton High School Athletic Director, I'm Sean O'Connor saying you stay classy, Warrenton, and we'll meet you back here next Wednesday on the Warrior Word on 106.3 The Beach.
This has been the Warrior Word, the first and last word on Warrenton High School athletics. Brought to you by Warrenton Kia. Tune in Wednesdays at 6 p.m. for the Warrior Word, heard exclusively on 106.3 The Beach.